Hola and welcome to a new episode of the Roofless Dog and Pony Show. My name is Julio. I am the Dream Alchemist at Roofless Painters, and we're here for a new episode of this long saga of me talking about what we're gonna do, what we're gonna paint in the next painting collection. So in each episode we discuss what we are about to paint. We talk about why we're going to paint it. We introduce the theme of the painting collection we're gonna create. We talk about the genesis of the concept, its contemporary context, and we also reflect on the form it's going to take on our paintings. What we also do is to bring up stylistic and historical references as inspiration for our paintings, in the form of examples from paintings done in the past. Our episodes are always from life. They are messy. Sometimes we can figure out an order and a structure, sometimes not. And we say they're unvarnished because they resemble our paintings. So you can find all the episodes in a video format on our YouTube channel, also here on Instagram, but also you can find all the episodes in audio form in any podcast platform: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and even Amazon Music. So you can now fall asleep if you can't, listening to all the unstructured and wonderful episodes that we've put on the podcast universe. So I think today I have some. Okay, let me just kind of before I say this. So last week we talked about the spring equinox. We were so happy to. We were so happy that we painted swallows, because so many people reached out with their memories about swallows and other stuff around the subject that was very inspiring. We can't wait to show you the paintings. People did a fantastic job. So this was on Friday, last Friday, the 19th. So the equinox happened on Saturday, actually early morning, and we got to sort of do a celebration on Friday, not only celebrating the equinox but also the Iranian New Year. As most of you know, my husband is Iranian, and I really appreciate, or I really enjoy the tradition of celebrating New Year during or around the spring equinox. So there are in that tradition, people, if they can, they just put together these little altars that have objects that symbolize different things. But one of the most beautiful things about the ritual is to bring flowers. So there were a lot of flowers, and people brought a lot of flowers, and so it was really nice. And we wondered that this would be a good example or a good subject to introduce or to use for a painting. So flowers. And that was kind of the beginning of the theme, still life with flowers. So I'm gonna do a 180 right now, because I'm gonna go from a cheerful, wonderful memory about a ritual using flowers, and I'm gonna bring a couple of images because I think it's important to just bring up the fact that in less than 2 weeks there have been two massacres in the US, and it's just absolutely terrible, outrageous. And I wanted to bring two images that this is from Boulder, Colorado, and this was memorials that popped up in different parts of the city, and on Tuesday actually, to honor the people who got killed, the victims on the mass shooting. So these are also flowers, and these have another symbolism, obviously. And I'm just gonna bring another, if I can. I don't know if I can bring a different image. Yeah, this is another image. This is from last week. So this was a photo of Wu Jin Kang crying at the makeshift memorial outside Gold Spa near Acworth in Georgia. So, and there are also flowers. So we were thinking about, spring, flowers, rituals, makeshift, I like this word, and also memorial. I like this word as well. So what we're going to do this week, because this has been really terrible, we're going to talk about rituals and memorials, and we're also going to talk about flowers, and we're going to paint a still life of flowers as a means to symbolize many things. We were just looking at articles about flowers being part of rituals and memorials, and I'm going to read a couple of things that we found. Placing flowers around those who have died is one of the oldest tributes to the dead. One of the earliest discoveries of funeral flowers was documented in 1951 in northern Iraq. Several burial sites were discovered, and soil samples determined that funeral flowers were indeed placed on this burial site 62,000 years ago. They seem to be the first flowers for a funeral that have ever been recorded, and some scholars consider that the world's oldest form of human ritual. So I know that some religions welcome flowers for during to honor the dead or the deceased. Some religions do not, because they feel like actually cutting fresh flowers in itself feels like a very aggressive act. So it was interesting to sort of like go through several religions and read a little bit about what they think or how they feel about flowers becoming part of rituals to honor the dead, and also to symbolize the cycle of life, the fragility of life, the temporary beauty of life. And so we thought it would be a good idea to paint flowers. Keep it simple, still life, find a vase, get some flowers if you have a garden. If not, I don't know. I mean, depending on your beliefs, if you want to buy fresh flowers or not, maybe just use a photograph as a reference. And we feel like this is so dramatic and so outrageous. We also talked about how some scholars and experts thought that during the pandemic, the fact that we are not talking about mass shootings would be a turning point, because some people, some analysts, they believe, and they have proved by using studies, that it is more likely for gunmen to perpetrate a crime if more people talk about it. So there's a correlation between talking about this and showing our emotions about it, and more people feeling enticed to do it again. So some people were hopeful that this would have been a good turning point in order to, turn the corner and maybe just leave this behind. So, of course, this hasn't happened. They were, I don't know if there were 600 shootings last year. Never in the history of like mass shootings there've ever been 2 back-to-back massacres in less than a week. That's what I'm reading. So people, there had been hope, and maybe someone saying there had been hope that maybe we broke the cycle and maybe we won't return. Someone called Peterson after the Georgia attacks. Now that it's back, a number of scholars are really concerned. So, here we are, another article just that we pulled out, and we talked about it a couple of times this week, about some people, some psychologists feeling, let me see if I can find the article. Yeah, I think I can find the article. Mental health experts say that the effects of these horrific events have on the American public are amplified by the COVID-19 pandemic. So, when there's something about the case that resonates with you and that you identify with, it's going to have a pretty significant impact. In this case, it was a store where everyone goes. It's such a common daily activity that's so much part of us that it's particularly frightening for people. So, so what I'm going to do next, this is what we're going to do. We're going to just keep it super simple, a very traditional subject matter. And, so a very traditional subject matter that it's going to mean different things for different people. But we thought we wanted to somewhat pay tribute, I guess, to what has happened in our own way. And since we're not there to just bring flowers, there's something really powerful about visiting makeshift altars, and it just feels like everyone comes together. And there's something really beautiful about this selfless act of just grabbing something and just contributing to someone else act of beautifying the space or honoring someone. It just it's a beautiful feeling. If we can just make you go back to any time that you have brought something to a makeshift ritual because a tragedy has happened and the community has come together, you understand perfectly well that feeling of being part of something bigger, and supporting someone or a community that you really never thought of or you don't know. So I'm going to bring images of floral still lifes just to change the subject a little bit and then give everyone references of paintings of flowers throughout maybe 100 years, maybe 200 years. So let me see. I'm gonna start with I wanna start with Bert Morisso, a French impressionist female painter, one of the 3 dames of impressionism that no one talks about. And yes, I'm gonna bring some European-centric examples. So apologies for that, but. So Bert Morisso, we love her style. This is forgot the title. Let me just bring it. She's one of our favorite painters. I don't have the title, but yeah, we love this still life. Notice the tonalism. Notice the usage of blue. We actually did a collection of paintings of a figure using, I think it was Prussian blue. Was she one of the first ones that used Prussian blue? I forgot. But there's something about blue and Bert Morisso. I think she was able to utilize the paint before it was commercially available for everyone else at the time. So there were some examples of her using that blue. Maybe it was cerulean blue. I'm not sure. We'll find out, and we'll talk about it tomorrow during the webinar. But this is a very good example of how she actually painted more with that blue. It looks cerulean blue to me, but anyhow, we love the crisscrossing, the boldness of her brushstroke. Look at this composition, the vertical versus horizontal. And yes, the underdeveloped areas. So don't feel like painting flowers means doing something hyper realistic. So this is a good example of something that we could just do in 2 hours, hopefully. I'm going to bring another example of a different painting. Milton Avery. We don't want to, okay, we're just moving from Europe to America, which is good. So Milton Avery, American painter, beginning of the 20th century. This painting, it's titled Still Life with Flowers. 1943, actually, what am I talking about? Yeah, I would say beginning of the 20th century. I don't know. He was born in 1885 and he died in 1965. So yeah, we love his style. He is considered the American Matisse, and some people think that that's not the way we should approach anyone, comparing it by someone else or comparing it to someone else. And I was reading that he actually despised being compared to Matisse when he was alive, but he secretly loved his work. So we love the reductionist style that he had. He was interested in color planes and not so much about realism or the quality of light. You really have to study his work to actually love it, because it just feels like super simple. But this is a beautiful example that combines the best of Milton Avery. His use of lines, straight lines splitting the composition. His very incredible use of color combinations. He was not just picking colors randomly. He knew what he wanted to do with colors, and we love this combination of red, or a very cadmium, almost trying to push for orange background, with this pink color on the surface. These two colors together are really beautiful. So anyhow, so Still Life with Flowers is an important work for a very crucial period in Avery's artistic evolution. He employs bold colors and simplified forms in this particular painting, omitting extraneous details and distilling the image to its essence. I love these words, extraneous and distill. I'm going to make some notes about that. He manipulates complementary and contrasting colors and shapes rather than traditional chiaroscuro. Chiaroscuro is working towards the illusion of light and shadow. So he completely throws that out the window or the door, and he is interested in planes and elements and shapes. Anyhow, so we'll describe this a little bit more during our webinar, but we just wanted to bring this example as a different style. I'm going to bring a painting. I'm not familiar with this artist. His name was Pincus Cremagne. Pincus Cremagne. I don't know. He was a Lithuanian Jewish French artist who lived between 1890 and 1981. So he was, I would say, in the midst of post-impressionism. He totally underrated, if you ask us. And here's what we're going to talk about, or we're going to mention about his work. By the way, this is titled Still Life with Flowers. Underestimated as an artist today, he is overshadowed by Soutine and Chagall. He was remembered with a posthumous one-man show in the Courrier Les Halles in Paris in the 1990s. And then, wait for this, a more structured vision of nature than Soutine's. Cremenge's last paintings prefigure the work of painters such as Leon Kossoff and Frank Auerbach in England. And we know what we're talking about with Kossoff and Auerbach because we were happy maybe like 3 years ago. I don't remember. But Jen, you loved Auerbach. So we went to see this exhibit about British painters at the Getty Museum, and we know of the work of Kossoff and Auerbach, the abstract work. And if you look at this painting, you can really connect with a straight line this work with Auerbach and Kossoff. So that's the reason why we picked this. Without any reference, you would say this is an ugly painting, but we don't think so. We love the use of color, and we also love the use of gray. We love I would dare to say, the tonalism of the painting by how the pigment has been desaturated heavily. And compositionally, it's very interesting. It's a landscape composition with an upright figure or element. But yeah, it's a very interesting use of brushstroke and color that some painters later use for their own language. So yeah, another example that everything works, and don't be afraid of using color and using muddy tones however you want to. No one is telling us that a specific painting needs to. Someone already registered for the webinar, so thank you guys. No one is telling us that we have to clean up the colors and we have to make something pretty. No. So we're going to talk about how inspiration and concept is one thing, stylistic references that can help us decide artistically is another. I'm going to bring another example of a painting. Oh my gosh, I don't know if I should introduce this because it's just gonna kill us. But so one, I was looking for examples. Oh, by the way, let me just go back to John Singer Sargent. Okay, always blows our mind. This is a painting I've never seen before. It's still life with flowers on an old chair. Unfortunately, the painting is not. I mean, the photograph or the format is not great. But this painting is just ridiculous. It's a small vase with some white flowers, and it's on top of a chair that the chair is broken. And unfortunately, you cannot see the full extent of the break. And actually, I'm just glad that this is happening, because if you're listening to the podcast, maybe you could just Google, if you want, just Google John Singer Sargent, still life of flowers still life on a broken chair, and get ready to have your mind blown, because it's just extraordinary. So, yeah, the John Singer Sargent just didn't overwork his paintings, and I don't know how he did it, but with very few brushstrokes, he was able to achieve an incredible illusion. The full painting is of the chair on a green lawn, so it's a very modern composition and a very modern choice of objects for the composition. I love the broken the broken chair, the fact that any human can sit, no human can sit on that chair. It's broken, it's damaged, it's not usable. But then he brings this amazing piece of like beauty, this symbol of perfection on top of the chair. I don't know, it's just so incredible. Is it a way of ritualize brokenness? Is it something that he wants to tell us, that the things that are broken are not ugly, they are beautiful? I'm totally at a loss trying to find this combination of beauty and being broken. So yeah. Anyhow, I'm going to bring another example, and I think I will keep it under 30 minutes. We'll see. But yeah, I wanted to bring examples of contemporary artists. Because, by the way, this is a painting by Elizabeth Payton, contemporary artist. We love her work, and she works with... she's a visual artist. She's a process artist, which means that she works with her hands. Now we have to say that she is a fungible artist, because everyone's moving to the NFT world. So I guess we have to say that her stuff is real. It exists in the physical realm. And I want to say one thing, and maybe it's going to throw everyone off, but I feel like there's been a gender journey of flowers as a subject matter, from being something that the dudes at the time, no question, embraced in their portfolio of images. Painting flowers was a dude thing. The Impressionists, obviously, before the Impressionists a little bit, and obviously ever since then, or at least the Post-Impressionists. Okay, I'm just gonna say this, and I'm realizing that I'm the only voice that is not quite happy with the Van Gogh exhibit coming to LA, and I need to learn to process exactly why is that. But yeah, Van Gogh, flowers. No one questions that flowers are feminine or masculine. They're a subject matter. But then something happened, we could argue, in the middle of the 20th century. All of a sudden, flowers just became genderized, I guess. I'm not sure if that word exists. But I just feel like the subject right now has implications or different associations. So I want to bring the work of Elizabeth Payton. And this is an actual full painting. We love how she crops images. I love the cup. And I want to point out that there's something very Milton Avery-esque, the use of red and magenta in this case, I would say. So again, the combination of two colors that we saw with an earlier slide. But yeah, contemporary artists use flowers as subjects. That's number one. And some male artists, I should say, use flowers as subjects, but not as much. So we're happy to just talk about it and mention that it's okay to paint flowers in 2021, and it should be a subject that everyone should do. So I'm going to bring another example of Elizabeth Payton's. These were painted in the 2000s. Stylistically, and let me just sort of like forget about what he said about gender stuff, but stylistically, yeah, so look at the composition. Not everything needs to be perfectly centered, so think of flowers on a vase or cut flowers, fresh flowers, but you could work different points of view. You could work different distances from you and the flowers. So don't think that this is a traditional approach in which compositionally everything needs to fit within the frame. And that's the reason mostly why we brought Elizabeth Payton's flowers. I think I have another one. This is probably my favorite because it's so simple. It's so simple. This is the actual full painting. And look at the cropping. It's amazing. And yeah, the brushstroke, it's the transparency, the underdevelopment. So another example, contemporary example, flowers are subjects of paintings in 2021. They should be, and they should remain universal subjects, please. So I'm gonna go back in time again. And contemporary of John Singer Sargent that we talked about. This is Joaquin Sorolla. Joaquin Sorolla, painter from Spain. We brought some images. If you can think of these amazing scenes by the beach, on the shoreline, of people wearing white and linen, and boys and girls just playing on the sand, sometimes naked, sometimes not. But the painter of light, people call him. So Joaquin Sorolla, 1863-1923. And this is Bodegón de Rosas Blancas, bouquet of white roses. And it's not dated, but it is signed and dedicated to his friend Krista. And yeah, so this was for sale by Christie's. I don't know what year, and who knows how much money people paid for this, but whatever they paid, it was worth every penny because it's a freaking gorgeous painting. Please, I want to bring your attention to the background, and look how it goes from black to this tarnished yellow ochre or tarnished green. It's amazing. Look at the gray surface. There's some papers right there, so there's a symbolism of letters. Maybe a love letter, personal letter. So you could bring symbolism to your still lifes as well. They don't have to be just flowers on a vase. They could carry something, a secret message, something that only you know, or something that you also want to convey, a message that you want to convey through another object. But yeah, we just wanted to bring this beautiful painting of white roses. And I think this is gonna terrify us, but anyhow. So I'm sorry, but I have to talk about this French artist that we are obsessed with. Let me see if I can pronounce his name. He was a pre-impressionist, I guess, before everyone started revolutionizing painting. Henri Fontaine-Latour. So yeah, we talked about him because he was an incredible painter who essentially did photorealism. There's no one who achieved this level of realism in his works. But he was a frustrated painter because he was mostly known for his floral paintings, and he hated that. He actually hated that. He wanted to be known for other things, but he got so many commissions from people that wanted to have a flower painting by him on their homes. Of course, he couldn't refuse because he was paid well. But it's interesting to see that he was a master of photorealism. But this was not his favorite subject. He just didn't want to do this. Anyhow, maybe this is not the best example to bring as inspiration for tomorrow's webinar, because paintings like this set the wrong message. The message that we have to be hyper realistic in to make something beautiful. I agree with myself. This is precisely not the right example. I can't help it. We love his work. Henri Fontaine-Latour. Amazing stuff. And there's something really modern about his compositions. If you want to find out more about his work and his life, do a little Google search or search. We shouldn't promote evil corporations, I guess. But and notice that the compositions and the scenes are extremely modern, because we talked about Milton Avery getting rid of chiaroscuro. Henri not only took on chiaroscuro, he took chiaroscuro and then he just served truckloads of it. The light in the scenes is amazing. The backdrops, the cast shadows. There's something profoundly alive and extremely contemporary about the selection of the space. Forget about the detail of the flowers. But if you see one of his paintings, look at the space and look at how he had a vision for how he wanted to frame that subject with a really mysterious and extremely minimalistic spatial context. So yeah, I think that's all I've got. I'm gonna end this with a Romanian painter. His name was, and this is kind of like, oh no, I just can't. I need to bring another one. I'm sorry. Ion Pacea, Romania, 1924-1999. Also reductionist. I don't think that's a good adjective for categorizing certain paintings. But again, the idea of red and the idea of color becoming a subject, and also bringing this up as a way to encourage everyone who is watching or listening to take on the concept of this. Don't worry about the execution. Find your reason to paint flowers today, whether it's because it's spring, whether it's because it's something that you really connect with, whether it's you have a memory that's really vivid, or because you want to pay tribute to something or someone. And don't worry about the execution, because we have like examples after examples of infinite styles in order to execute or express your concept. But the important thing is that if you have a concept or a motive, go for it. Join us. Please do this. It's gonna be good for. Oh no, I don't have it. It's gonna be good for you, for our mental health. That's why we get together every Friday. We do this. We encourage each other. We support each other. The link is in our calendar on our website. Please sign up. It's only $20. We spend 3 hours together. And then we have a bonus session on Tuesday night. We encourage people to continue working during the weekend. We hold ourselves accountable. We want to make sure that there is accountability, because being an artist and isolated and working and alone, that's the first thing that goes out the door. We're not truly accountable for what we like. So join us. Thank you so much. I think that's all I had to say. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Dina, thanks for your comments. And some artists, they did include their faces and they did self-portraits also with a floral still life. Laura, we cannot wait. We hope you join us. Ecstasy Realm, if you're here, thank you so much. And what's my thesis? We need to connect sometime. Jen, I can't wait to paint with you and discover more things about Auerbach and how they copied this other guy's style. And yeah, Emily, thanks for joining. Darlene, you're gonna rock this like nobody's business, so we can wait to see what you create. And yeah, one of the most amazing things about our webinars is that when we end, we all have something to show, and it's such a gift to see how everyone expresses or processes things visually in a different way. So lots of good stuff. Thank you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.